The next step is looking at our index.html file in a web browser. We can see that the H1 and P1 elements each have default CSS styles. So check this out. That's what this is saying. Is here's my default. Here's my web page, right? I've applied no CSS formatting to it. No CSS formatting to it. But if I go over here and I preview this in Google Chrome, it's formatted. It has some formatting, right? If I preview this in Firefox, it has some formatting. If I preview this in that one, whatever that is, Safari has some formatting. If I preview it in Opera, it can't find it. So, okay, that's fine. We got 3. So let's compare these. Here is in one of the browsers. Here's in a different browser. Let me bring this one and just kind of match its location. Are those about the same? Those are pretty much the same, right? Do you notice any difference there? Doesn't it look like this one here, the text is just a little bit bigger every year? That paragraph, doesn't that text look just a little bigger?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly, right? Well, that's the thing. Every browser chooses how do I want to format just basic HTML if no other formatting's been provided. Let's compare it to Chrome, right? That's pretty similar. So every browser will format things by default, format HTML by default slightly differently. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close Safari. And on the Mac, a really cool trick for closing things is Command Q, as in quit. So quit that. And so what we could do is we could put in a CSS reset. And a CSS reset will reset the default formatting that browsers have for a web page that hasn't had any formatting applied to it. CSS reset will reset that formatting that browsers come built with to nothing, right? And the way it does that is like this. It says, hey, all of these tags right here, man, strip out all the formatting. No margin, no padding, no border, font size just straight up 100%. You know, vertical line, baseline, display all these, block, line, whoops. Line height is 1. You know, list style, not, you know, just pretty much says no styling. And so there's different resets that are out there. And so, you know, one of them is, I don't know, I don't have these off the top of my head. But let's see what it says here. Specifically, they each have a unique font size and spacing around them. Use Eric Meyer's reset. We can tone down these styles, allowing each of them to be styled from the same base. To that, let's head over to Eric's website, copy his reset, and paste it at the top of our main CSS file. So I'm going to click that link, go over here, and CSS Tools, Reset CSS, and here's a current reset. And so I could just copy this, and I'll keep the license information, why not? Command C and then Command Tab, back over to WebStorm, and then come into my main CSS. And a little shortcut key for that is you could use Control Tab on the Mac to switch between open tabs inside WebStorm. And then Command V, and I pasted in that reset. H group is showing up red, and selector matches unknown element H group. What's that mean? So we'll explore that in just one second, what that means, why that's coming up red. But now I have a main CSS, and if I include this CSS file into this document here, we'll see how does it look now when I go into the browser. Well, how do I include that inside my HTML file? Let's see if it tells us in the next step. With our main CSS file starting to take shape, let's connect it to our index.html file. Opening the index.html file in our text editor, let's add a link element within our head element just after the title element. Okay? Because we'll be referencing style sheet within the link element, let's add the relation attribute rel with the value of style sheet. Okay? We also want to include a hyperlink, so blah, 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 right? Basically, that's this right here. So all those instructions here say, hey, do this right here. But let's just read this last one and make sure we're not missing anything. We also want to include a hyperlink reference using the href attribute, which is right here, the href attribute, to our main CSS file. Remember, our main CSS file is within style sheets folder, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, the href attribute value, which is the path. Okay, so I'm just copying that. I'm coming over here, and I'm going to go inside my head, and right here, that's what I want it to be. Now, I need to make sure that this is actually pointing to where I want it to be. So I'm in my index file, right? And I have a link here to a style sheet, And the reference is go into the assets folder, and then inside the assets folder, go into the style sheets folder, and inside the style sheets folder, go into the main folder. What would happen if I coded this just by hand? Link rel equals style sheet, and href equals assets / and I was just looking to see if it brought up prompts for me, but I'm not seeing that. Sometimes you could get that with control space. So I just hit control on my keyboard and hit a space bar, and it gave me options. Control space. And so now my option is style sheets, and then control space, nothing, / control space, and then it gave me an option and main CSS. And so selecting the options will prevent typos, and the way I got those options was sometimes I had to hit a / to let it know I want some more, and then hold down control on my keyboard inside WebStorm and hit space, and it gives me those options. So I got that, and I now am going to save this, Command S, and now let's look at it in Google Chrome. Pretty different, right? We stripped out all that formatting that that Chrome automatically adds on. And so now we've got kind of like a baseline, you know, no formatting on it, and we could now start from there and build it up to look the way we want it to look. So that's the role that CSS resets play. Does that make sense?